So the Zabbix still supports multiple database engines, and still I think the most popular ones are MySQL and a PostgreSQL. And many people use one and many people use another, but both of them time to time come to conclusion that, hey, for some reason I need to migrate. And in this example, let's say if you want to migrate from MySQL to the PostgreSQL, that's what we're actually going to try to do in this video. And it is a bit different. Like I did made a video previously many years ago about how to migrate from MySQL to the Postgres. That doesn't really work anymore in the recent Zabbix versions because in the version 6.0 something, it's written here, I don't remember, Zabbix added a triggers to the database on some tables. So the migration path is similar, but it's a little bit different. So I guess it's a time to record a new video. And we can go to the screen where I do have right now Zabbix with a MySQL. So I have Alma Linux 9. We can see it here. Red Hat release, Alma Linux 9.4, and the Zabbix server version is 7.0.0 release candidate 1. So very soon we're going to have the 7.0 LTS version. And for the sake of making my life easier, as per usual, we already actually have copy-paste material that you can use to perform this migration, and that's I'm going to use myself by the Initmax, who are the Zabbix premium partners. And the link to the video will be in the description. Link to the blog will be in the description. So for easier to follow along, go ahead here and yeah, just do the migration. But right now, just pay attention. I will actually do this for you so we can see if there are some issues we may stubborn. So in this tutorial, we'll show you how to migrate to Zabbix database from MySQL to the Postgres on a Rocky Linux 9. I don't have a Rocky Linux, I have Alma Linux, but it's basically the same. So everything should be pretty much fine. The article assumes that if optional patches are available, float, oh my god, what's with my language, float and primary keys, then they have already been applied to the database. If you're not sure about this, then information about the status is also displayed in the front end in the system information section. As example, database history tables upgraded, no, and we don't have this field, so our tables are upgraded. And I believe yeah, like we warn you in advance that you do the migration at your own risk, and we bear the responsibility for any damage, which is obvious. Like we will be doing quite crazy thing. We're grabbing the data from MySQL database and trying to put it in the Postgres, which is completely different database engine. So nevertheless, maybe the production or development environment or whatever, please make a backup. Don't try to migrate, as it would be too easy steps. Things can go wrong. Hopefully they will not, but better to have a backup somewhere nearby if suddenly something goes as it should not go. So the first commands that we have are basically to check the Zabbix server version, and there are multiple ways how you can do that. As example, you can check the Zabbix server log, and every time when the Zabbix is starting, it is also writing the current version. Here is the example. Another option to find the version is to check the version of the package that you have installed for the Zabbix server MySQL, which might not be the case if you're running, let's say, Docker containers or compiled from the sources or whatever, but you still can do this migration. And the option that I did is running Zabbix underscore minus capital V, which will actually show the version of your Zabbix server. And remember that the Zabbix has one package for the MySQL support and another package for the Postgres support. So those are not cross-compatible, and whenever we will migrate all the data to the Postgres, we will actually have to install a package that will support the Postgres database. So since the version 6.0.11, Zabbix database contains triggers, and that must be taken into account during the migration. And this is the exact reason I said in the beginning, like I do have a tutorial how to do this, but it's for the old Zabbix version. I think it's something 3. Whatever, and it's not going to work anymore. So let's make a new one. And okay, let's just do this is the way that we can verify that we do actually have triggers. To do that, we can just log in to, let me zoom this in, to our MySQL, use the Zabbix database and show triggers, and there we go. So triggers delete, update, insert, and tag delete, and we actually have 65 triggers. That's quite a lot. So we don't need this for now. We did confirm that we do have a triggers. And the next, okay, what's the next? Here we have the example of the actual triggers, and then we need to install dependencies. And dependency, obviously, in our case, will also going to be the PostgreSQL database engine itself. And as per recommendation of this tutorial, we should not use the package that is available in the default repository of the Alma Linux or some Apple or whatever. It's always better to grab the recent supported version from the vendor itself. So in this case, we're gonna run this command to, does this work? Let's see. Yeah, it does. So installing the package, and that's done. Official Postgres repository. Then we're installing the actual server. So yum install PostgreSQL 16 server, copy paste. I can add minus yes at the end, and this will probably take some seconds because the Postgres database engine is not the smallest package that you can find on the market or in some other repositories. So let's pause here for a sec. Okay, it's done. That was quick. So the next thing is, after we install, we actually need to initialize the database for the Postgres. That's a very common thing. In MySQL, you are not obligated to do that. I think there was some MySQL secure installation or whatever. In a Postgres, as much as I remember, it is an obligated thing. So we need to run the initdb. And we're initializing the database, and everything is okay. So perfectly fine. Then what do we need to do next? We need to enable the Postgres if you want it to start automatically every time when you restart your server. If not, then it is enough to just type systemctl start and Postgres server 16. Then we need to install the PGloader, and PGloader is the real utility that we're going to use in this case to actually import the data from the MySQL to our new Postgres installation. So we are not able to avoid that. We definitely need to install it. It's going to be a light utility, so it's not going to take a lot of time for the installation, and we are basically done. So the PGloader is installed. We can check the version. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same as in this tutorial. I mean, it is 3.6.7, and it is actually the same in the tutorial. So preparing for the migration, now let's create a temporary folder that will keep the configuration files used in the subsequent migration and open it. So this folder will basically store the config file for our PGloader. So let's just copy paste again, and well, yeah, this will also navigate exactly to the place that we just created under the TMP directory. So Zabbix DB migration, which is great. What else? That's done. Schema parsing. Like, we have a Postgres, right? We installed the Postgres. Our Zabbix is still using MySQL. Zabbix still works. I didn't break anything. It's still up and running. But we need to import a schema. And as I said, like for the Postgres, it's going to be a little bit different because that's absolutely different story, different database engine. And where can we find that schema file? From the packages, I don't really remember. I think in the packages you have like one zcat file. Let's check it here. Let's go to the zabbix.com. Let's say if we're installing from the packages 6.4 Alma Linux server, whatever. Somewhere here. Yeah, see, we have the server SQL.zip file, which contains the data, images, and the schema. But we need only schema because data will be coming from the MySQL database and images as well. So the only thing that we need is the schema, and that we can get from the source file. Yeah, from the source file of the Zabbix. So here it is imperative to modify this command according to your Zabbix version. And let's hope that I will not make any typing mistakes, because we don't need a beta, we need RC1. Hopefully the link is exactly like that. So I will, yeah, wget not found, yum install wget -yes. That's gonna be quick. And now let's try this. Connected error page not found, as I expected. So let's go back to the download page, Zabbix sources, and pre-release, and download. No, let's just copy the URL, copy the link address. So I will just copy paste. What was my mistake? I don't know, but I will delete this URL and copy paste it here. So right now, as you can see, we actually downloaded the source file of the Zabbix 7.00 release candidate. So we don't need this page anymore. We just need to extract it, and we can extract it with this command and just point it to the actual source file. So tar not found, yum install tar. Yes. Yum, yeah, install tar. I've actually installed this Alma Linux just 30 minutes ago, so it's absolutely clean and it doesn't have anything extra. It's a minimal version, so some things might be missing, but as you can see, it's very easy to download them. And after this command, we can remove the archive itself, tar file, and right now we have one directory which has the sources. We can go inside it, and you can see those are basically the source files of the Zabbix. And what we need to pick from this source folder is the database Postgres. So we can just yeah, basically I think it's not gonna work because here it's beta 1, but we have RC. So database Postgres, cd database PostgreSQL, and there we go, we have schema.sql, and that is the file that we're actually looking for, which contains all the schema for our Postgres database. But the thing is that from the unified schema file, select only operations for creating the tables and triggers and save those in a separate file. This file, so we don't need everything, right? We just need operation to create a table and the triggers. That's it. Everything else is going to be ignored. So this is what the command is doing. And yeah, this should work. So copy paste, and right now we should have a new file, create tables. TMP Zabbix DB migration. Let's go back one more time. Create tables.sql. So this is the file that we just generated, and it's still not it, because the file now contains not only the create table operations, but also operations and functions for the triggers, which we solve individually, right? So that's still for us to do. So remove the part that creates the triggers from this file. We have our schema file that creates just the tables and also the triggers, and now with a sed command, we will replace all the create function with enough. So basically we're just deleting that. There we go. That was easy, right? So copy paste is the best thing that you can do. And then from the unified schema file, select only operations related to the triggers. So this one, let's copy paste. Cannot open file. We need to do, what was the name of the Zabbix? Let's do it like that. Zabbix database PostgreSQL schema. So like this. And now we took the schema files and exported everything to the trigger. So now we have two files here. One that we have just for to create the tables, and a second one for the triggers. Two separate entry points, right? Where we are right now. Here. Now we can proceed further, and from the same file with the database schema, select only index creation operations and store them again in the separate file. So indexes are again another thing. I will copy paste it here, and I do remember that I need to actually Zabbix database Postgres schema, and boom. Now we have 3 files: create index, tables, and the triggers. What else? Again, from this unified schema file, select only the alter table operations and store them in a separate file. So again, copy paste. Again, change the location of where my schema file is actually located. PostgreSQL schema.sql, and there we go. We have 4 files. This will make it easier to see. Cool. This one is done. And then preparing the Postgres. So we have a clean installation of the PostgreSQL. We don't have any users. We don't have any databases. So let's log into the Postgres. Enter the password for the new role. I will enter it as a Zabbix, as per usual for all the test installations. It is Zabbix. Then let's create a Zabbix database. Should be done. And then create the Zabbix schema. So this command is a little bit longer. We are using the Postgres PSQL. The host is the local host, DB name Zabbix, username Zabbix, and the file that we're using is created tables. So we're creating just the tables without anything else. Fill in the password, which is Zabbix. Create table statements are executed. Yeah, this is done. For compatibility with the PGloader utility, temporarily set the encryption hash to MD5 and change the password of the created database users so that it is regenerated in the given hash algorithm. For simplicity, ideally use the same password as you entered for the creation of this user. So set password encryption equals MD5. Okay, and here copy and paste this, but here set the password, and the password that I entered previously was also the Zabbix. So this is done. Preparing MySQL. How much do we need to prepare MySQL? I do actually already have the native password without any encryptions, whatever. So I'm certainly sure that I can skip this one. And now you can change the user login method. I still have a native password. So prepare the configuration file, SQL script for PGloader. So create this file. Create some file. Okay, I don't want to use a nano. I'm going to use the VI, pgloader.conf, and then we need to basically copy paste this and fill this file with the following content. Don't forget to change the passwords, mark with asterisk, and the script to your own valid passwords for both databases. So copy paste MySQL, Zabbix, and let's go here. Zabbix, and also for PostgreSQL it was Zabbix and Zabbix, and everything is Zabbix. So with include, no drop, truncate, create no tables, create no indexes, no foreign keys, reset sequences, data only, pre-fetch rows 30,000, batch rows 1,000, batch concurrency 2. These are parameters, as far as I remember from my previous video, that you can actually play around, and in that way, depending on the performance of your database engine and the disk speed and so ever, you can actually fine-tune this to make the migration either faster or slower. Depends on if you make any mistakes of doing that. So right quit, this is done. Now you can start the migration itself. At this time, we recommend that you make a backup of the MySQL, as I said, before running any actual operations with your production database. Always make a backup. So let's start our Zabbix server and our front end, because we don't want to get any data corruption, whatever. Create a folder for the migrated data from MySQL in our temporary folder. So this is where we will put the data from the MySQL that we'll later gonna put in the Postgres, and then start a PGloader with the configuration file you've created, and copy paste it here. PGloader, root directory, tmp data, and the config file is under the tmp Zabbix db migration pgloader.conf. Hopefully I didn't forget anything, so let's click OK. Error, failed to connect MySQL as a user. Zabbix, unsupported authentication. So actually it is an issue that I still have to do. So I need to edit, let's see, my CNFD, MySQL server.cnf, and under the MySQLD I need to change default authentication password, systemctl restart MySQLD, and then alter the user, which is Zabbix at localhost, and the password is Zabbix. So now everything should be fine, and I will try to execute it again. I'll just do it like this. And there we go. Some things are happening. As you can see, we have some warnings. And about the warnings, we actually had something here. If PGloader reports any warning message while running, then you can safely ignore them. And what could be better than ignoring anything? And since I do have like a clean database of the Zabbix, I didn't have any history. It's just a clean installation that I did before making this video. This took less than a minute, but basically it's done. Like all of the data from MySQL is migrated, but not yet to the Postgres. Or no, it's actually in the Postgres. Yeah, so the PGloader itself, like initially it grabs the data from the MySQL, puts it in the temporary directory, and then inserts it in the Postgres. So this is basically the same as we had. When the PGloader successfully completes, return the hashing algorithm to the more secure value of scrum SHA-256 and regenerate the database user passwords again. Replace the asterisk with the following command in your chosen. So yeah, we can run this command, click enter, and then run this command and replace the password asterisks with the actual Zabbix, like this. Alter role done. Create a schema for the indexes. Remember, we created like 4 or 5 files in the TMP directory, so we actually need to do this. Good thing is that if you have like user, password, whatever, Zabbix, then you can easily like copy paste. Indexes are created. Let's run the alter table statements. Yeah, IP localhost, Zabbix, password is Zabbix, alter table statements are created, and now finally the triggers, the one that we also exported from the schema file. So click enter, password, Zabbix, create function, create trigger, everything done. After successful migration, we recommend running a vacuum to clean up the database. Yeah, whatever, like we can do that, but as I said, I have a clean database, so it's not the case for me. Functionality testing. We need to actually remove the Zabbix server. Why? Because the Zabbix server is the package that I have right now. It was for the MySQL database. And same applies to the front end. So remove Zabbix server MySQL and Zabbix web MySQL. This will ask for the confirmation and also deletes all the dependencies. Eventually it's done. And then we need to install new packages. But in this case, it's going to be the Zabbix server PostgreSQL, Zabbix web PostgreSQL, and Zabbix Apache.conf. So do this. Click yes to confirm. This will take some time. Hopefully it's going to be done in a couple of seconds, and we are almost there. Done. So this is done. Then we need to edit the Zabbix server config file. As usual, it's located in the etc Zabbix zabbixserver.conf. You can search for the DB password and DB password. Let's do it actually. DB password actually was Zabbix, remember, when we created. So right quit, that is done, and here modify the database. I did that. Now remove the old MySQL frontend configuration file. It's located here. If you don't believe me, we can type ls, and yes, indeed it is located here. So let's delete it. That is gone, and that is the configuration file which is generated whenever you do the first startup of your frontend. Remember, where you need to fill in like database location, DB name, DB user, DB password, and all of that stuff. So all good. Let's restart our Zabbix server and HTTPD. We can check the log files of the Zabbix server here. Thread started, everything runs perfectly fine. Zabbix server -v is still the version of where is the version? Why I don't see it? 7.0.0 RC1. So all good with that. Check Zabbix log file to ensure everything's fine, and let's try to access the frontend again. So I will delete the URL. Again, we have a fresh install. Next step, all the PHP parameters are here. Database type right now is a Postgres because we did all of this migration. Database host is localhost, port 0 default. Database name Zabbix, schema, I think we need to leave it default, right? Postgres, yeah, schema is default. User Zabbix and password is Zabbix. Plain text credentials. Next step, server name. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to support me, and click next step, and click next step, and congratulations, you have successfully installed the Zabbix frontend. And we can log in with the default login of admin with a capital A and lowercase Zabbix. That is how you can migrate from the MySQL to the Postgres. And the tutorial actually continues about how you can install the timescale DB, which is a very great extension for the Postgres. But let's keep a topic per video. So migration to the Postgres done. If you're interested in how to use the timescale DB, let me know in the comments and I will make another video for you. So thank you guys for watching. See you later.